Welcome to the 16th episode of the Honor Society, live from the No Sale Studios. I'm Acefield Retro, and join with me is my always partner with so much honor, Mullet.mania, Colton. What's up, dude?
What's going on, Ace? How's it going, man?
Doing good, bro. I think we got a better connection this week. You and I don't have a 5-second delay, so this is going to be easy sailing.
Oh, yeah, man. Going to be a lot more fun. I mean, it was a good time, but yeah, always better when we don't have those technical difficulties. I think I was up to 6 seconds on my side a couple times. So, yeah, much better shape tonight.
And I'm loving the 2 nights in a row of wrestling. We had, obviously, Wednesday Night Dynamite. We were fresh off Sunday's Revolution, and we get Thursday's Ring of Honor. And we're off to a hot start, man. This is awesome. It's the second week of Ring of Honor. If you guys are not aware, get it on Honor Club, the app, streaming service. It's been pretty seamless. I mean, on your end, you're able to just watch it with ease, right?
Oh, man, I'm having no problems whatsoever. And I mean, I think some of that probably comes with it being a taped product. But I mean, I've had issues with, I mean, major streaming platforms, including like Peacock and, you know, and I've had issues with Bleacher Report streaming AEW pay-per-views, and I've had no issues whatsoever from Honor Club so far. So super happy with it.
What I'm really loving about it is they go straight into the matches. There are some video packages, but obviously on their own streaming service, they're not any just AEW stuff, and we see a couple of advertisements. But at the end of the day, it feels like it's a very streamlined program. Like that's the main thing. Like it's just wrestling upon wrestling upon wrestling, and it goes really fast. One of the fastest 2 hours of wrestling that I've consumed in a long time.
Yeah, you said it, man. I mean, I think that's a benefit they have too of having no commercials, doing it on their own services. Man, they can just pack so much into 2 hours, and the pacing is great. Like it just clicks every segment to segment. So,
all right, let's get into the scoop. Talk about the news of the week. We don't have much to break down, but of course, we're going to comb through the news of the week for Ring of Honor and bring it to you right here every Thursday. So let's go. All right, one of the more catchier bumpers. I'm glad to have that one back. The scoop bumper is back. Let's get into the news of the week, and let's start with the first item of news, and this is probably one of the bigger things, and I think everyone would have expected this, but the numbers are finally in with the Honor Club streaming service hitting 12,000 subscribers. So this is a high watermark, Colton. Obviously, it's not a huge number, but it is a record number in terms of this streaming service. And Tony Khan said the ROH TV show is closer to the shows he wrote while growing up as a wrestling fan in terms of having a lot of matches. He's catering to the hardcore fan. We wanted to go up higher, and I think we will see it get higher as we approach, the LA Supercard of Honor weekend.
Oh yeah, man. I'm really interested to see what that bump's going to be come March 31st. Cause you're going to get a lot of folks that just haven't made the jump yet to put down the $9.99. But I think for everything you're getting with the back catalog, it's well worth the price. Happy to see them at 12,000. I mean, that's with one show that they've gotten. You already got 12,000 subscribers. So I definitely expect that number to grow. And hopefully we see it, triple or more come pay-per-view weekend.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is people need to get the word out there of how to watch it. I think people are intimidated by how to watch some of these streaming service products because there is an older demographic of wrestling fan that wants to consume on the television. And as we move further towards streaming, I think if Ring of Honor continually puts out a quality product, people are going to seek it out. And, there's still wrestling fans in my life that I talk to that have not watched Ring of Honor. They know it's on Honor Club, but how do they get it? It's another subscription service. So I think it will take time. And I think Supercard of Honor and, the big events are going to really do a good job of getting people's name out there. And of course, advertising and going viral too. Like when big moments happen here, that's what's going to bring people's eyes to the product. And that's important to get over time. It's going to just take time.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, this Supercard of Honor March 31st is going to be a real good test of the quality of the stream. So I'm really, the app itself. And I'm really hoping that it goes off, that live stream for the show is going to be, seamless and hopefully get a lot more eyes on the program.
Yeah. And I think it's setting realistic expectations for Tony Khan that people need to understand that this was at this point, it was a dying brand. He rescued this drowning brand that's out there, and he's trying to keep it within the spirit. He easily could have just made it a tab on his eventual streaming platform, but he's trying to revive it. And, I really admire the fact that it's in the same spirit of what it was as when he was a fan as a kid. There is a distinct difference between the AEW product and Ring of Honor. I know it's only 2 weeks in. I know we can sit here and use hyperbole to describe it, but it really feels like Ring of Honor of old, and that's the best compliment I think we can give it.
Oh, most definitely. Definitely feels like its own product, its own thing. And I think, we heard a few things from fans that, with the bloated roster, sometimes we have some Dynamite episodes that are just seem like dream match, and not enough story. And, this gives a better platform for some of those dream matches that we want to see, and 2 hours of it every week, I think is going to benefit both programs for sure.
So speaking of story, one of the guys driving story is going to be Eddie Kingston as we approach Supercard of Honor. And he took to Twitter and talked about how ecstatic he is to be back in Ring of Honor. And of course, a lot of this is working and trying to build sort of that drama in AEW that he did, quote unquote, quit Ring of AEW a couple of weeks ago before the ladder match. And we saw him arrive on ROH TV last week, challenging Claudio. He was on ROH this week in a squash match, which we'll get to, obviously. He took to Twitter and talked about how happy he was to be gone from AEW. So he had said he's free of the liars and snakes that riddle the locker room, adding that AEW used to be a place that was free from all that. And he complimented the Ring of Honor locker room and in the same breath as insulting the AEW locker room. He said, I went into the ROH locker room, felt free from snakes and liars, as I said before, and disgusting egomaniacs that are all for self and not for the company. It felt good to be with men and women who want to do their jobs. I remember when AEW used to be like that. And he later added, Colton, whoever doesn't like it, I mean, fans on here or anyone in the back, fuck you then. So Eddie Kingston being Eddie Kingston, he's working, he's shooting, he's doing whatever, man. But I love Eddie in this role. This is like a perfect spot to highlight him.
Yeah, man, I absolutely love it. I'm glad that he's happy to be on ROH because I'm glad to have him back on my TV, man. I love classic Eddie, not pulling any punches, keeping it 100 all the time. Man, yeah, I do. I love this shit though. I know he's out there shooting, but I love anything that kind of stirs the pot of the wrestling world. I'm like, always, man, who are these liars and snakes he's talking about? Pretty hot language. So yeah, I think I was excited to see where it goes from what we saw tonight. I know we'll get to that a little bit later, but yeah, I'm all about having more Eddie Kingston on my TV.
Yeah, the Eddie Kingston quote that sticks with me, and it's from a long time ago. It's from an interview, and I can probably find it after the show, but he essentially said, whenever I say something about myself, I'm shooting. Whenever I'm saying something about someone else, I'm working. So we don't know where that line is exactly drawn with Eddie Kingston. That's the beautiful part. He's one of those old school wrestlers that keeps kayfabe, but at this point, whether the issues with Claudio were real or not, I mean, it really blurred the line. People didn't know when they showed up at Blood and Guts together that they were working. They didn't know if they actually hated each other. So they're working a program now. So if there was an issue, now they're working. But that's a beautiful part. Eddie Kingston paints this picture, and he's from the old school mentality of keeping wrestling believability out there.
Yeah, I love that he's still out here keeping kayfabe alive, man. It's important to me as a fan, and I just think that adds that element and layer of realness, especially with him and Claudio, which we saw tonight too. Is like, man, where the scene continued into the backstage, like I think just kind of gives it a whole another layer of like, man, are these guys really they really hate each other?
So the last piece of news here, and I'll give you guys a second to tune out if you don't want to have a spoiler from Rampage for tomorrow. So I'll give you a couple seconds. You guys have due warning. This is a spoiler for Rampage, so please pause it, move forward a couple seconds. I'm going to give you a spoiler about Rampage, and I'm going to do it now. So the current ROH World Tag Team Championship is going to be decided. We finally got an answer about what's going on. Mark Briscoe appeared at AEW Rampage last night to film a segment that will air this Friday, so tomorrow, and he announced the new champions will be crowned in what is going to be called a Reach for the Sky ladder match. So it is going to be a few teams here, but the first team announced for the Reach the Sky ladder match is the Lucha Brothers, and the remaining teams will be revealed in upcoming weeks. So this is obviously in tribute to Jay Briscoe, who passed away tragically at this point, about a month ago at this point, which is crazy how time flies. But yeah, we've been waiting for what's happening with these titles. We all knew that it could not be on the Briscoes anymore unless Briscoe's going to have another partner or they were going to have him defend it himself. This feels like the right decision, right, Colton?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, you and I were talking about this just last week. I love that I love the name Reach for the Sky ladder match. I love that it's a tribute to Jay. I think it absolutely should be, keeping him and his memory at the forefront of this, of the tag title picture, because they meant so much, not just to Ring of Honor tag team wrestling, but to tag team wrestling in general. So yeah, I think this is absolutely the right way to do it. I don't think they miss there's nothing I can offer as an improvement in this situation. So first team announced, though, yeah, like we said, this is a spoiler. First team announced is Lucha Brothers. So I mean, I love to see the Lucha Brothers wrestle in any way, shape, or form, but Lucha Brothers in a ladder match, fuck yeah, brother, give it to me every time. So yeah, really excited to see who the other teams that they're going to announce.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can imagine Aussie Open will be in there. There'll be, I mean, at this point, ROH's tag division is almost in better shape than the AEW tag division in a lot of ways. If we can go through the teams that are there, and you can make the argument that they're set up to have a really good tag division going forward. And the 6-man division leaves a lot to be desired. But the one thing that spoke to me in this news release about this was, obviously this was the Briscoes' 13th, and it was a record setting ROH reign as far as being champions. They won it back at Final Battle, but they never got a chance to defend them. And I know ROH didn't have a TV deal. Final Battle was the pay-per-view, so there was no time to defend them. And obviously Jay and Mark were not allowed on Dynamite, so there was no place to defend them. It's insane to me that they never had a chance to defend them. They've been, I don't know, it's just really sad how it all ended, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's one thing that, myself and probably every wrestling fan was excited for this new era of ROH, was getting to see more of the Briscoe brothers. And it's just super sad that it was cut short. I hadn't even realized that, yeah, they did not have a chance to defend them after they won them back that last time. It's just so unfortunate. So happy to see that they are keeping the Jay's memory at the forefront of the tournament.
So Supercard of Honor, guys, will be WrestleMania weekend in LA. It's going to be held from the Galen Center Friday, March 31st. By all counts, it will be the kickoff to WrestleMania weekend. We have WrestleMania itself on Saturday and Sunday, but if we have the GCW Collective, I'm sure Impact's going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. So, LA is going to be popping off WrestleMania weekend, and what a way to start it. ROH Supercard of Honor last year was off the charts. They didn't even have a TV to build up the matches, and now they have a machine behind it to build up and make you care about these matches with a stacked roster. I'm really excited, man. It's been a lot of fun just in the short period of time we've been watching the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, 2 weeks alone, they've already built so much up for this pay-per-view. I mean, like you said, Supercard of Honor, Death Before Dishonor last year, both shows that were excellent without any build whatsoever. Really excited to see what Tony and the team can continue to do with, like we said last week, we got 3 left with 5 weeks total programming building up to this pay-per-view. That's awesome. Really looking forward to see what they continue to do.
So with that being said, let's get into the show, Colton, and talk about what we saw this week on ROH television. What leaves me desired, I want them to have a name for the show, like call it ROH something, because I want to call it something. It's ROH TV is what we're going to call it, ROH TV results. I don't know. But let's open with the opening match here. And this is one of the matches I thought potentially could have main evented, but they opened with it. It was Samoa Joe versus Tony Deppen. And by all accounts and purposes, this is almost like a squash match. Tony Deppen didn't get much offense in. He's a guy, if you know about Tony Deppen, he's been a mainstay in GCW. He's been coming out to We Built This City by Starship. Who sings We Built This City? Is it Starship? We Built This City. Okay, either way. He comes out to that theme song in GCW. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I love Tony Deppen's theme in GCW. He is a guy who plays a heel role. Different character. We talked about this last week. He's not the same character that, if you're familiar with Tony Deppen's work, they're definitely going for a different edge for him, which is fine. This was more a showcase for Samoa Joe to get him back on the right track, because let's not forget, last time we saw Samoa Joe, he was choked out by Wardlow. So they have to reestablish him as he's still that badass you remember.
Yeah, you definitely got to have Joe come in and look strong first week. I thought the same thing. I was expecting this probably to be main event tonight, but it actually opened up the card, which was great. I thought Deppen looked good when he did get what little offense that he did get in. That stunner he got where he came over the top rope and hit it, that was a just awesome spot on Joe. But yeah, like you said, man, Joe just mowed him over for, I'd say, 85% of the match. We hit that muscle buster, man. That's a finisher that nobody kicks out of. Like, I know that most people get their finisher kicked out of at least once. Some people get their finisher kicked up out of all the time these days. Nobody's kicking out of that fucking move.
Yeah, two of the more protected finishers in all of wrestling is the Muscle Buster, as you mentioned, and the One-Winged Angel with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, I don't think anyone's ever kicked out of it. Muscle Buster, I'd have to go down in the annals of time. I can't remember off the top of my head anyone that's ever kicked out of it, but you're right. And when someone sells it, Tony Deppen, who is the utmost professional, sold the move like death and made it look amazing. And this is the perfect way to get a guy coming off of a big loss. And we can dissect all of the TNT Championship mess that we just saw unfold on Wednesday with Wardlow, all that shit that went down. But the shrapnel that was left here is, okay, ROH has to make Samoa Joe feel like a big deal again. It's not that hard, though. You know, that's the amazing thing about Joe. He's such a monster. He's such a force to be reckoned with in ROH that it didn't take long. Now he feels like he's back at the top of the card again.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, that's how easy it was.
Oh, man, yeah. All you got to do is put him out there and have him mow over one guy. It's not hard at all, man. Like, when the match first started, Deppen started laying those chops into Joe, and they were stiff chops. But, man, Joe's such a monster. Like, you didn't even hear the slap of him. He was just absorbing them. Like, yeah, good showcase for Joe. Definitely made him look like a top dog. And then, you know, gets on the mic, issues an open challenge, and my favorite theme song in wrestling hits, man. Mark Briscoe comes out and answers the call. Really, really excited about that. It's good to see. You know, he just made he's going to be making the announcement about the tag tournament coming up and how he's going to be exiting that scene. Nice to see him at the forefront coming in the title hunt for the TV title.
Yeah, there was a conversation on the tavern. I think it was on the flagship. We also talked about it in the wrap up that potentially Mark Briscoe would be the perfect person to wrestle Claudio at Supercard of Honor for the ROH championship. And I guess would even better. I mean, the TV title against Samoa Joe, in a lot of ways, Mark Briscoe never really got his singles run. Jay historically had his singles run, former ROH champion. Mark wasn't that. So I think this is cool to see Mark dipping his toe into other waters. And, you know, the Briscoes are supposed to be this focal point, and they were going to be a focal point of what Tony Khan had in mind about what ROH would be. And I'm glad the vision is staying the same, that Mark Briscoe is still just as important. And that's a dream match. Samoa Joe versus Mark Briscoe, I'm sure, happened in other capacities and tag matches, I'm sure, over time. But this for the TV title with Mark Briscoe versus Samoa Joe, I'm looking forward to it. I hope they hold it off until Supercard of Honor for a big moment. And let's see where they go with this. I think they could have a really meaningful story. And I think Mark Briscoe has a chance to hold his first singles title after Supercard of Honor.
Dude, I would absolutely love to see it. I'm with you. I hope they hold it till the pay-per-view. And man, that's one thing about Mark Briscoe is that guy can heat up a crowd better than anybody. I mean, putting the TV title belt on him, guaranteed that I'm hoping at least that we're going to have the TV title defended almost every week. I know they didn't defend it on the first week, but they set the match up. I love the concept of the TV title being defended week to week. And man, what a way to open up a show than having Mark Briscoe's crazy ass come to the ring with that belt. The crowd's going to be coming unglued.
Yeah, I love the TV title concept. And in ROH, the TV title is just that. It's supposed to be on TV every week to showcase the current champion and young wrestlers. The spirit of the TNT Championship with AEW was just like that. And then the conversation circles around the TNT Championship, how it's been misbooked. And I think part of it's just not showcased like a TV title. You want to keep those championships in the spirit of the classic ECW TV title, the WCW TV title. It needs to be showcased. I know it sounds stupid, on TV. That's the main point. So really cool. And if this championship feels important, I know a lot of the championships across different wrestling promotions feel like they are, and this is not my words, it's other people's words, participation trophies, but this one certainly doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's carrying this long lineage that ROH is carrying with it. And man, I think this is going to be an awesome program. And it felt important when you saw Mark approach Samoa Joe. It felt like two legends across the ring from each other. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to set up. I can't wait to see what they do with it. It's going to be a really, really great story.
So we move into our next match here. We have Marcus Cross, Cody Chun, and Guillermo Rosas taking on, I mean, come on, Dalton Castle and the boys. This is Dalton Castle's re-debut on ROH TV. This is the first time we're seeing him. He wasn't on the TV last week. And I have to say, I was very disappointed that we didn't see him. He is bundles of fun. Like, he is electric. He's charismatic, and he draws your eyes. And the whole act, the entrance, the in-ring work, his interactions with the boys. Dalton Castle is sports entertainment and former ROH champion. I would love to. This is one of those personalities that would get lost in AEW. This is a guy who's going to thrive having his own 2-hour show, to have his own playground, to run around and do meaningful stories. I fucking love it.
Dude, he's wonderfully weird. Like, I mean, it is just lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. You'll never see anything like this gimmick ever again. And he just owns it so well, man. The promo he was cutting earlier where they were talking about they've been moving furniture all weekend, man. Just super dense furniture had me cracking up. Man, yeah, I absolutely love Dalton Castle and the boys. I hope to see him almost every week. Man, Dalton Castle, like you said, every aspect of his performance is killer. And he's got, Chad and Sneed talk a lot on the flagship about anytime William Regal comes up, his facial expressions and how good they are come up and how much of a story that he tells. Man, Castle's right up there with him. His facial expressions are just over the top incredible.
And everything is so well placed. The high-waisted tights, the jacket, just everything he does feels like it has a purpose. There's nothing done by accident. And to me, if you want to describe what professional wrestling is if an alien came down from space and said, what is pro wrestling? Can you show something that represents it? I think Dalton Castle will be in the small conversation of this is what it is. It could be athletic, but it also can be charismatic. And he's a flamboyant but tough guy with it's the perfect mashup, that a guy that really owns his character. It really feels like it's so well defined. Whereas you watch other guys, not only on ROH, but other rosters that don't really know who they are. Like Dalton Castle is a master class of understanding his abilities and what makes him good and what makes him interesting. And you could just tell that he's really bought into, this is who I am as a professional wrestler. And he's living the gimmick. It's amazing.
Yeah, he absolutely owns it. His level of pageantry, man, you get a lot of guys who are really great in the ring or have a really, really great kind of pageantry and art to their image and their gimmick. And he's just very well-rounded and the best of both worlds.
Yeah, so this was an extended squash as well. Obviously, Dalton Castle and the boys get the win here. Castle hit the bangarang on Roses for the win. Cool finish. Big fan of the bangarang. Dalton Castle's moveset, just like the rest of them, is eclectic and sometimes unorthodox, but it's awesome and it fits him. The bangarang for the win. Following this, we had another segment with Maria Kanellis-Bennett introducing Mike Bennett and Matt Taven for a promo. And the Kingdom talked themselves up as being champions wherever they gone, and they call out Top Flight. These are two teams, the Kingdom and potentially Top Flight, that I could see being in that ROH ladder match. The Kingdom, they debuted on AEW television. It felt so random, like that Rampage that they were on. But I also think like Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, they're important characters. And I think that just the initial jump, they feel like they're going to be focal points of the storytelling throughout the rest of ROH.
Yeah, man, they're absolute studs. I'm glad to see them on TV 2 weeks in a row. And I think they're a very easy pick to put in that ladder match, man. Excited to see him get some gold. Good to see Maria get out there, and she was out there with them last week. She didn't really have much to say, so she's good on the mic. Good to see her again. And yeah, man, getting into the next match, it's another team that I think we would really love to see in that match is La Facción Ingobernable, which is Rush and Dralistico, man.
Nicely done, Colton, by the way. Nicely done.
Appreciate it. But yeah, they took on Angelico and Serpentico, came out with Dr. Luther. It's cool to see Luther coming out to the ring.
Yeah. I'm going to shoot on the Spanish Announce Project for a second. These guys the Spanish Announce Project is a direct creative riff of the Spanish Announce team, the classic New York-based tag team that's here from the New York area. They're still wrestling today. They've been on GCW. They wrestled for the GCW Tag Team Championships in an unsuccessful attempt this weekend. But they are legends here. So a lot of the moves we see, whether it be the Spanish Fly, a lot of their offense, whether people know it or not, is influenced by the Maximo brothers. So to me, when I see the Spanish Announce Project, and they've been very vocal on Instagram and social media about this, it's a direct ripoff of what's going on, and it bothers me. So I'm glad to see them get jobbed out here. And they were just used as enhancement talent. So it's like, it bothers me because if you really want to have the Spanish Announce team, sign them, put them on a big platform. Because if there's anyone that deserves it, the Maximo brothers deserve it. They should be on this platform. So if you want to use the name, use it appropriately and use the guys that invented it. That's me just shooting on it.
Dude, I'm glad you did. That's not something I was aware of. And that's something that you've heard, I've gone off about it multiple other times, especially with the shit they're doing in WWE with Sarah Logan ripping Max the Impaler's gimmick.
It's in the same spirit of that. Exactly.
It makes me, there's not much that gets me hotter than that kind of shit, man. So yeah, glad to see these guys get jobbed out for sure. I don't have anything nice to say about him now.
Well, I mean, the thing is too, I mean, and Helico and Serpentico, they're wrestlers that, you know, they do their things and they fit their role. And, you know, this was a showcase for Roos and Jalistico, and in a big way. I mean, Roos, fresh off that Bryan Danielson match, I think he's been on a roll since then. And I look at him in a new light after that match. And I've seen Roos do things in Ring of Honor. He's a former champion. He had great matches with Bandito, and he was a guy that they were leaning on, the Sinclair dying ROH. But Roos feels like he could be someone that, when he's surrounded by the right talent and given the right direction, I think in his initial AEW introduction, he was missing something. And I think when they put him with Bryan Danielson with that heel role and the presentation, and maybe it was just needing to continue with the LFI, having that vibe with him, maybe that changed things. Something clicked with him. And you could see right now that the moveset is there. He has like a very good understanding of his role, and maybe it's the comfortability of being back with ROH, but it feels like there's an understanding of what he can be. And I think he gets lost in the shuffle with all the talented guys in AEW. So, you know, this might sound like we keep saying about a whole bunch of guys as we start to get our feet, you know, secure in this ROH landscape. There's a lot of guys that benefit from it. And I'm not sure if anyone benefits from it more than Roosh, because he feels he's back in the land where that invented him to make him the world champion type of guy.
Yeah, man. And at this point in the night, there was nobody the crowd was more excited for than Roosh when he came out to the ring. Like, he's an absolute top guy, man. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said here in ROH, like, he's got a little bit better of a spot on the stage, gets a little bit more of the spotlight, and can elevate himself a lot more. Man, that headbutt he hit on Serpentico made me feel bad for Bendejo. I'll say that. That was, it was him and Jalisco too, man. They're absolutely fantastic in the ring. I love seeing these guys. I think Roosh has a future as a singles for sure. I hope that's where they're going to go, but I think there's still a lot of gas left in the tank to see these guys as a tag team. Also hoping to see Preston Vance show back up. They did get a little teaser this week that hopefully we're going to see all three of those guys on TV next week. That'd be very cool. Yeah. But man, you know, they pick up the win pretty easy, like you said, kind of a squash, but then they go right into doing that heel shit that they were doing after the match, that I feel like they almost have to do, because like Roosh and Jalisco are so good. Like, if you want them to be heels, they're so fun and so good in the ring. You got to have them do this heel shit afterwards, like choking people out with power cords, because otherwise they're not going to get booed. They're so much fun and they're so good. Like, they're going to, you can try to make them heels all you want. They're going to be over with the crowd.
Yeah, and the removal of the mask thing, it feels like it's overdone it. And I understand that it is the most disrespectful thing you could do to a lucha. So it is like, if a guy's wearing a mask, you pull it off and rip it off. I get it, but it also is so overdone. And it feels like it's been done over and over again. I feel like every Penta mask, they were ripping his mask off. And I don't know. I mean, it gets heat, obviously, in that circle. Like, it's very disrespectful. And they use it with Rey Mysterio. But I would say maybe use it a little bit more sparingly. It feels like it happens a little too much on both AEW and Ring of Honor.
Yeah, being a little bit more selective with it, I think, gives it a little bit more legitimized heat. I mean, I think, you know, when you bring Preston Vance into the scene and he's like wearing pieces of them out to the ring, that adds a little bit better of a layer to it. But yeah, I don't think it needs to be done at the end of every match by any means. Like, save it for the pay-per-view, save it for your really big opponents, and make it sting just a little bit more.
Yeah, and I agree, though. And what you said before makes a lot of sense, that they have to find a way to get them to be booed, and they have to do dirty things. And I think that is a testament to how good of a heel they are when they eventually can get booed, but they're doing things that people like to see in the ring. That's that line right there. So, you know, Jalistico hit the Destroyer for the win, which was kind of shocking to me to see him get the pin. I thought Roosh potentially would get the pin off of the Bull's horns or something like that, but the Springboard Destroyer was pretty nasty. And, you know, Serpentico was folded up like an accordion, and, you know, I'm sure the Maximus were happy to see it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. As was I.
All right. So we have Billie Starkz taking on Trish Adora, and Trish Adora she's been in this women's division. She was on that first Supercard of Honor show, and Billie Starkz is a rising star. We've seen her in different promotions, and she's been catching the eye of a lot of people. Billie Starkz, most notably, if you've seen her, you know, she's been working in GCW as well. So she has a lot of promise. Trish Adora, this match wasn't long at all, but with Trish Adora, you know, in this ring, clearly this was supposed to be her spot. She's a step below where the women's championship is right now, but it's clear that she is someone that maybe they're building up to take on Athena, or potentially, I don't know, be one of the top faces here as far as women goes in the ROH women's division. So I don't know. Speak to this match and tell me what you liked about it.
Man, I mean, I got to be honest. I'm a huge Billy Starks fan. A little bit biased because she is a hometown girl around here, wrestles out of Louisville. So, and yes, she's young, she's green in some ways, but like she is, I mean, for her age, man, she's incredible. She's definitely a prodigy. I was really, this is one of the first times that I've seen Trish Adora. I mean, I've seen some of her stuff, but not a lot in recent memory. So I thought she was great. I mean, it was a quick match, but I thought they both showed out pretty well. I think you're right. I think she makes a lot of sense to build up as a baby face in the women's division. Man, that spot where she threw Billy onto her back on like that slam on the apron, man.
Yeah.
Billy sells so good. Like, I mean, there for like solid 2 or 3 seconds, I'm like, dude, is she legit hurt? Because I mean, that scream she let out was just so uncomfortable. But yeah, I mean, there was also the finish tonight. I did not know that Lariat's name was Lariat Tubman, and I absolutely love that. It's got to be one of my favorite finisher names, like maybe fantastic. Top 5 ever. It was absolutely fantastic, and it's stiff as fuck. I thought it was a quick match, but it didn't feel like filler, like, the last week, like the women's tag match that we had. I thought that it was exactly what it needed to be, getting reps in for Billy, maybe knocking some rust off Adora, since, there hasn't been a whole lot of ROH in between the pay-per-views and weekly TV. But yeah, I thought both of them came out looking pretty good, and excited to see more from both of them.
Yeah, one of the highlights I want to mention from this match too, and like you said, it was a short match, so there was few and far between because it was just the time allotted for it. But the delayed German suplex and then the cattle mutilation locked in by Adora, like you mentioned, the Starks selling where she's crawling to the ropes. She looks like she's in excruciating pain. Awesome stuff from both these ladies. I was really impressed with this match.
Yeah, dude, the cattle, is it cattle mutilation? Is that right?
Yes, that's the submission. It's the Bryan Danielson submission.
Exactly. Yeah, which was also used in the match that you recommended that I was watching this week too. It was great to see that twice in the same
Bryan
week.
Danielson will stretch
it. I absolutely love that submission hold, man. It's just absolutely brutal.
So after this, we had Lexi Nair interviewing Chris Daniels, and he was talking about wanting the ROH Tag Team Championships, and he wants to team with Frankie Kazarian again, but he honored his word as SCU lost the right to team up back in 2020. Obviously, Kazarian is with Impact, but it's interesting that they mentioned him here. We know Impact and AEW have like a working relationship, and very informally, but we've seen guys come over. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to have Frankie come over, but he says, obviously, he needs a partner. Matt Sydal stepped up, and maybe they'll be included in this ladder match that we have. So maybe we're building the match up here. We talked about Aussie Open. We talked potentially about the Kingdom. We talked potentially about now Matt Sydal and Chris Daniels. We're building up a pretty good match that will be one of the highlights of the show.
Absolutely, man. And I'm all about seeing Sydal and Daniels together, man. I love the SCU shout out. I absolutely love Frankie Kazarian and Chris Daniels together. I thought that was one of my favorite parts of early AEW. Man, I will say, not to call anybody out, I love Christopher Daniels, love both guys, but this segment definitely seemed like they've been rehearsing their lines and we're hitting their beats very much so. So I don't know if it's just from them, not being on TV for a while and just kind of getting used to being comfortable again. But yeah, there was especially when Sydal came out, I was like, oh man, okay, you're not reading this off a prompter, but it kind of feels like you are.
Like he's reading the weather to us. I get that for sure.
Right.
But yeah, Matt Sydal is definitely a promo guy. I'm interested to see what they do with both of them. Sydal was teaming with his brother, I feel like, right? A little while ago in AEW. Is that who he was teaming with or something like that? Sydal's been,
I think so.
I mean, the former Evan Bourne, he debuted. I think the idea behind him debuting was him slipping on the ropes that first debut. And it's been about that level for the remainder of his AEW tenure. And I don't know what people expected, but this is maybe ROH is a spot for him to shine because he is a talented dude. Like he really is. He can go out there and steal the show on any given night.
Yeah, and I think him and CD will work really well together, man. So yeah, did they announce how many teams there were going to be in the ladder match?
I believe 6 teams is the teams, but that's not what we'll have to wait till Rampage when they show the graphic, but sounds like it was 6 teams. So I think we have the 6 teams, right?
Yeah, right there. So yeah, easy. Book it, man.
All right. So we also have a team that we don't want in the ladder match. We have Jake Christ and Jake Manning, but that's not the team I'm talking about, taking on Ari Daivari and Slim J with Smart Mark Sterling in their corner. We mentioned Smart Mark was all over the show last week. I'm going to get real fucking sick of this Trustbusters music as the ROH thing. I feel like it hits non-stop. But this match here, obviously Slim J and Ari Daivari get the win here. Highlight at the beginning of the match, Slim J gave Daivari a matching shirt as they made their way to the ring. This was a very sports entertainment match. You know, we had the Man Scout Manning stuff, reading a Scout's Guide as the bell rang. The ending saw Slim J locking on the STF on Manning and scored the win. But after the match, upwards, maybe a Trustbusters feud, Daivari talking shit about Metalik, and then Metalik comes out to the ring and the Trustbusters beat the shit out of him, and then Blake Christian makes the save. So what were your thoughts on this?
Dude, I mean, first of all, Smart Mark Sterling, easy for me to say, pulling out those fresh, crisp tank tops on the way out the ring had me cracking up, man. Very, very sports entertainment. I can't decide whether I love or hate Man Scout. I gotta see a little bit more from him and see if he's actually got some chops in the ring. But yeah, verdict still out on that gimmick for me. But man, I mean, they're great. I hate them, but I also love the Trustbusters. They're solid in the ring. It was a quick match. Excited to see that the Metalik storyline did not die right there, because I definitely thought there was some meat on the bone left, especially how Ari Daivari picked up that win. And you know, we were just talking last week about how impressive that Blake Christian is. Great. I love that we've already thrown him back in and we've got somewhere for him to be. It's like, I don't know if they're going to be, I don't expect Blake Christian and Metalik, even though I know they've teamed together in the past. I don't expect them to be in the ladder match, the Reach of the Sky ladder match for the titles, but excited to see them teaming together. Excited to see more Blake Christian.
Yeah, I could see that being a 0-hour match on the pre-show. I could see Metalik and Blake Christian versus the Trustbusters. Yeah, that'd probably be on the pre-show and have a little bit of build. It just shows how much they can do with the 2 hours of time with this roster, that they can even build up some of the pre-show matches. And a guy like Blake Christian getting even a limited amount of screen time running off them with a chair, that's huge for him. He's a guy that, you know, we've seen him in AEW Dark. He obviously is a GCW legend at this point. But yeah, this was some good stuff here as far as sports entertainment. Wrestling's a buffet. Sometimes you need some of the goofy stuff, and that's what this was. It was goofy.
Yeah, nice to see that we're still getting a good mix. So
yeah, people forget RH wasn't just all, you know, wrist holds and, you know, and grapples. So there was some goofy stuff throughout the history of ROH. Like, that's part of what they do here. I mean, let's remember Shark Boy. Come on.
Right.
All right. So we have the ROH Pure Championship on the line. Timothy Thatcher, who we saw on AEW Dynamite a few weeks ago as part of MJF's gauntlet for Bryan Danielson. They had a great match. One of Bryan Danielson's better matches in that run. Probably not the best one, but definitely a different style. Taking on the defending champion, Wheeler Yuta. So the judges for this match, we had BJ Whitmer, Colt, and Chris Daniels as he was backstage for the promo. Three great guys to be judging the match. And really what I'm noticing about the Pure title is I'm really loving the parameters of the match that hold them accountable. And what we really saw over this amount of time is by not doing a lot of egregious heel tactics, Wheeler Yuta had the opportunity to show that heel edge, that because clearly the BCC is fallen off the deep end. They've gone off to the heel land. Feels like we got full-blown heel faction here. We saw Moxley not letting go of the chokehold in the Dark Order last night. And now Wheeler Yuta being kind of a prick in this match. And it was done with the rope breaks. It's done with the cheating. It's done in a way where, like, if it was a normal match, it would have felt just like par for the course. But because it was a Pure Championship, he is the Pure Champion that's supposed to uphold all the Code of Honor. It made it even more emphasized that he has turned over a new leaf. And I really like it. It's a new edge for Wheeler.
Dude, I really like it too. Because I was always kind of been my question is where do we go next with BCC, but especially where do we go next with Yuta? And first of all, I mean, this match was a technical clinic. It was a dream match to see these guys go against each other. I absolutely loved every minute of it. But yeah, I'm right there with you. The Pure stipulations really make for an interesting strategy for a match, and like how you can get the upper hand on your opponent. And man, yeah, I have in my notes, like this was Yuta's full on heel turn. The fact that he used a second closed fist while the ref's back was turned to win. So yeah, not only did he do heel shit as the champion, but it was a heel tactic. He cheated. He broke the rules to retain. That's just like the ultimate sign of disrespect to the Code of Honor. So yeah, I think that Wheeler was the one that I had the biggest question of, like, all right, what are we going to do to turn him heel? And this was the perfect way to do it.
Yeah, and even though it's within the reach of the rules, where like Thatcher used his final rope break, by all intents and purposes, that's the rules. But Yuta at the end of the match tied Thatcher in the ropes with the Cobra twist to get the tap out, which is in the rules. Yes, by the letter of the law, he didn't break the rules, but it is a dirty move that the old Wheeler Yuta of a couple months ago definitely wouldn't have done that. And that's what I mean with that nuance. It's not just like, I'm going to hit him with a chair, I'm going to low blow him. He is just taking the extra leverage, and you see that edge. And of course, after the match, we get him on the microphone and he just calls out people by name. And he's just talking about tracksuit wearing LA Dojo boys. And he talks about how the BCC teammates wish, everybody. I'm with the 96 Bulls, which was the biggest thing. Pippen, Jordan,
Rodman,
Rodman. And I was waiting for him to call himself Kukoc. Like, I thought that was like, I'm hitting threes in the corner, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I thought it was good, man. Wheeler gets better on the mic every time he gets on, man. It's good to see. But yeah, I'm glad to see him finally, taking this edge a little bit, and was like, I'm better than anybody. The call out, and then man, who answers the call out? None other than Wild Rhino Clark Connors.
Yeah.
I've not seen, I'm not a huge New Japan guy. I like New Japan, but there's just so much wrestling content that I can only consume so much in a week and still maintain my job in relationships. So I've only seen a little bit of Clark Connors. I think the dude's got a absolutely great look. And the crowd popped huge for him when he came out.
Well, to give you the background on Clark Connors a little bit, he is a prospect still with the New Japan LA Dojo. He was training with Lance Storm in Canada, and then he got hurt, and now he's training under Shibata in LA. He beat TJP at the New Japan Cup USA back in 2021. And then he had a really awesome match with Carl Fredericks in the main event of the LA Dojo Showcase, which really like put him with a superstar aura. And since then he's been grinding. And I think having Shibata as his mentor, like, dude, Shibata is one of those guys, like, he had a new lease in wrestling. He should have been done. And if you guys know the story with Shibata, almost died from wrestling with the brain leak or whatever was going on with the brain bleeding, and him returning even this year wrestling, it's amazing. And Shibata is one of those legends that even just sitting under the learning tree, you can't help but learn a lot from. And this tie-in with Shibata, Clark Connors, and the BCC has a very interesting twist to it. And we'll see where it goes with the BCC heel turn. And it's funny to see it leak into ROH, because that they stick with consistency. You knew they were going to go in that direction. They weren't going to have any holes in the logic, but it was very interesting to see Yuta go full heel. We saw Mox go full heel, and even Claudio in the segment, which we'll get to, he went full heel. And man, who's going to save them? Maybe Bryan Danielson comes back and goes to war with them. I don't know, man, but they are fully a different type of group now.
Yeah, whole different breed, which I'm happy to see. I think this is probably where the Blackpool Combat Club was meant to be all along. I mean, hell, man, Regal's the guy that technically started it. Regal's always been a heel. It's a gentleman's heel, or a gentleman's villain at that, but still.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this adds a really interesting opportunity for a faction versus faction storyline. So yeah, it'll be cool to see where it goes.
We're going to get Connors versus Yuta next week, which has me believing we're going to get something bigger for the championship at Supercard of Honor, and has me really hoping that we're going to see a bigger name, like, fingers crossed. I don't know. I don't want to put it out there, but maybe I will put the feelers out. Maybe Shibata. Like, that would be so sick. But
yeah, that would be incredible, man.
I know he has a limited work rate, and he was full blown this year. So we'll see. But yeah, I think we'll see as time goes on. I mean, Clark Connors versus Yuta could have been a pay-per-view match, but they're giving it away next week on TV. So
yeah, and we still got another week in between that and the pay-per-view. So I don't know. I'm really loving the Pure Championship and excited to see exactly where they're going to go with the storyline for that title.
Which leads us into Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams taking on Aussie Open and Mark Davis, which is Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher. We've seen Aussie Open on AEW television with Will Ospreay and Flank. We saw them in the tag battle royal, but this was Aussie Open's Ring of Honor debut. They are just impressive, man. They got a huge response. They were definitely over, and these guys work a different style of work, man. They are hard hitting, they're fast paced, and they just go at it from point A to point B. They are the epitome of what tag team wrestling should be in 2023. And man, if you want to go out and check out a great match, check out the match they had with FTR overseas. So that match is fucking fantastic. But Aussie Open is fantastic, and there's not enough superlatives to talk about how great they really are. And this is a great place for them to prosper. And ROH is truly blessed to have them under this umbrella, because they should be, I mean, they could be top guys in AEW.
Oh man, yeah, they're going to be top guys anywhere that they go. I think it's. I was, when we first saw them, show up last week and have the backstage segment with Tracy and Rhett. I was like, man, I didn't expect Aussie Open to show up on ROH TV, especially not the first couple of weeks, man. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, how much are we actually going to get to see of these guys? And man, this match tonight was incredible. So I will say this is my first time that I've ever seen Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus. And man, these teams together just put on an absolutely great match. There was multiple times throughout the match where I was like, I thought both teams were going to win it. It told a great story. One thing I do have in my notes is, man, Rhett Titus is so fucking tan. He's got to be like top 5 tannest brothers in the business right now.
That's fantastic. And the offense you mentioned before, the Aussie Open offense is just so innovative. We saw the spinning tombstone, the pull-up pile drivers, and the lariat set up. Aussie Open hit the Coriolis for the win. Just like very innovative. And with wrestling, I feel like every move's been overdone and everyone's seen everything. But with them, they pull shit out that it's like, I've never seen that. Like, there's stuff that they pull out that they do variations of very simple moves, make them look a little more devastating, make them have a little more edge to them. And man, Aussie Open, they crushed it. This was, not to bury the lead here, this was fucking match of the night by a lot. Like, this could have been match of the week across all promotions. That's how good it was.
I completely agree. You're talking about them showing us stuff we've never seen, man. When Davis hit that spike down pile driver where he like straightened dude out and then brought him back up, like, I've never seen anything like that ever. It was incredible.
Which leads us to a guy doing double duty. You mentioned him before. This is Bendejo, which feels weird because it's like, it's not a bad word in Spanish. I don't even know. Taking on Eddie Kingston. This was a squash match. This was, Kingston hit the machine gun chops, the Saito suplex, and boom, it was over. Back fist under a minute. The biggest thing from this was Kingston calling out Claudio afterwards, and we get Claudio, but Claudio walks about the heel. He turned his back to him, and Kingston runs to the back, and he's all hot and bothered. Like, I thought this was going to be place of honor, and now it's, here we are with Claudio. This is the match for Supercard of Honor. This is what the ROH brand is going to put their chips in, and 2 great guys, great program, kind of a dream match, and Claudio alluding that Kingston has no honor, nothing more disrespectful to that dude. And that's where the feud's going to based on all their personal history too.
Yeah. And I mean, these guys are definitely yin and yang for sure, 2 both excellent professional wrestlers, but very different mindsets and backgrounds. And yeah, I mean, I just thought, I did not expect that. I did not expect him to come out and just straight up say that Eddie has no honor. Because he has no honor, he'll never hold that title. I mean, them's fighting words, man. That's about one of the worst things you could probably ever say to Eddie Kingston, is telling me he has no honor. So I think it set it up nicely. I love the continuation of the segment backstage. It kind of gave it, even though I know this is a pre-recorded segment, it kind of gave it like a live feel. Like, oh shit, we're following them backstage.
Yeah.
This has continued to escalate. So I can't give them enough credit. Like I said, I do want to show name and I want to show open, but I've been really impressed with the production value that we've seen so far. But yeah, Claudio blowing him off, man, that kind of seems to be a trend with the BCC boys. We saw Yuta kind of do the same thing earlier, where he just walked out of the ring and then, he said, all right, it's on his way out. But yeah, just kind of having this too good for you attitude has really added another layer for me to hate them. So.
Yeah, Eddie Kingston's that dude outside of a New York City bodega smoking Newports and just, eating just a Subway sandwich, just like talking shit to people on the street. That's who he is. He's as real as it gets, man. From being from New York, that guy exists. Like, that guy, there is Eddie Kingston. He is as authentic as it fucking gets. And I love him on the mic. And that's what I said before. He blurs that line of where is the line of working and shooting. And I love that he's being showcased here because, like, to me, he could be a guy that beats MJF realistically and takes the title from him. Like, I think Eddie was that over at one point, and that feud with Moxley, people believed in Eddie Kingston, and having him here in ROH, it's immensely important because the ROH championship needs to feel as important as the AW championship. And we talked about this on the buildup towards Ring of Honor and wanting the brand to feel important, and guys have to be on the same equal playing field. And I'm not sure if Claudio has that same appeal right now. And I think that's a conversation for another time. Just even seeing Claudio in some of these battles on AEW and the way he's treated, doesn't feel like he's the same as MJF. And I'm hoping that if Eddie Kingston wins his championship at Supercard of Honor, they could really sort of gear that to be, holy shit, Eddie is a world champion and he feels like it. And Claudio could feel like a world champion, just booking. I'm not saying he can't be a main event guy because he is. It's just the way he's been presented. And I know that's the byproduct of having no TV deal. And he was the champion while there was no TV deal, but it feels like Claudio is lesser than the AW champion. And I hope that they can start to establish the world championship feeling more important than it feels now.
Right. I think Eddie's the perfect guy to do that, man. I'm glad they're wasting no time putting him in the title picture. I think I 100% agree with you. I think he's probably, to me, he's still over enough to take the belt off MJF, but I just think that, no matter, I don't know what it was, but he was misused a little bit and kind of put on the shelf a little too early in AEW. So I think this is the perfect spot for him. I can't wait to see this match.
So we get some promos for the champion and challenger. Willow Nightingale really being showcased here. I love it. First of all, I love that pro wrestling t-shirt she has with the bubbly font and then the hardcore metal font underneath it, Willow Nightingale. This was happy it main evented. Athena got the win here over Willow. This was a good match. Probably expected to be a little bit better. Maybe down the line, these two can meet up again and have a little bit more time on a pay-per-view. I think that would be interesting to see. Athena got the win here. There were some moments I felt a little clunky in this match, felt a little disjointed, like maybe they were not on the same page. But for the most part, the offense looked good. Willow looked really, really great, and I'm more and more impressed with her every single week. We mentioned before, she gets a huge reaction every time she comes out to the ring. And Willow is someone that you could build a brand around, whether it be AEW, Impact, WWE. Like, she is a future main event women's star, and I truly mean that. She's as talented, charismatic. She goes in the ring and she carries her weight. I wasn't really impressed with Athena's work tonight, but that is what I kind of felt about Athena going into this match. And I'm not trying to be too critical on her, but I would have loved to see Willow go over here, but maybe at a different time.
I feel this. I would have loved to see Willow go over as well, man. Going into this match, I was like, man, they could really go either way here. You could go put Willow over and just solidify her as the next big thing, which she absolutely is, and push her to the moon, or you put Athena over and solidify her as a heel champion and a force to be reckoned with, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, I think you're right. I think there was definitely some parts of the match where they were a little disjointed, a little clunky. I did think there were some things I saw from Athena tonight that I liked that I haven't necessarily seen from her in like her previous work as Ember Moon and NXT and WWE. I feel like she just did a lot more rope work and high flying a little bit in NXT, and there was actually some stuff tonight that I was like, oh shit, you can mat wrestle. Like, you can get down and use your low center of gravity. So I'd like to see them get another stab at it. And also I think the way that they left it tonight sets it up perfectly. Like, this is not the last chapter in Willow versus Athena. And I don't think it's even the last chapter right now. We might see a rematch between the two of them at Supercard of Honor. I think that given the chance to work together a little bit more, I think they can, definitely can improve and make some really good matches together. So, but yeah, Willow's a future champion. There's no way she's not.
Yeah, I walk away every time with Willow being a little bit more impressed because she feels like she's magnetic. Like that's the word for her. She's drawing the attention to her, and like just from the music hitting, her entrance, just every time she's on the card, she's memorable, and she steals the show in a lot of ways. And I felt like in a title match that was supposed to build Athena up, and it feels like she should be the person you're talking about, I felt like Willow was so impressive in a losing effort. And it was the same thing we talked about with Billy Starks, the selling, the believability. You want to rally behind someone like her, and she feels like a character that you believe in. And that's the highest praise you can give someone for, even Willow in her AEW run. Every time she's in the ring, she makes the most out of her screen time. And having her here in ROH, it's awesome to see. And like I said, I hope she gets another opportunity to win the championship because I think she can carry that women's title to the next level.
Yeah, if she doesn't get another opportunity, I'm going to be furious. Like, I think she's makes a lot of sense to be your next young big champion. And really just, that's it, man. Push her to the moon. She's got tons of potential. I think she has tons of star power potential. Like, she's going to sell merch. Like, she's going to bring casuals in just with her promos, man. Like, yeah, I thought the promo she cut before the match was great and kind of I got to see a little bit more of an edge that I haven't seen to her, which was cool. So, yeah, I thought, pretty decent match, but hopefully she gets another shot.
All right, well, let's get to top honors and talk about our match of the week. And just see where it left off. I think we're going to be on the same page, though.
Oh, yeah.
All right, top honors here for your match of the week, Colton. What is it and why?
Man, match of the week for me has definitely got to be Aussie Open versus Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus. It was a clinic for tag team wrestling, man. The like we said, the offense from Aussie Open is just unmatched. Those guys are both just powerhouses. But like I said, man, there was multiple times in the match that I thought it could have gone either way. There was a lot of close finishes, and I would have been happy with either outcome. I hope to see more. My first question was, how much of Aussie Open are we actually going to see on ROH? And I hope the answer is a whole lot more. But definitely want to see Rhett Titus and see Tracy Williams, see them in the tag team gold picture too. I don't see why not. They've definitely got what it takes.
Yeah, you said it best, man. That's exactly my pick as well. And it's hard to argue with anything you said there because it was the match of the night. I guess you could, in another night, Thatcher versus Yuta could have been match of the night. I did love the drama they built around the Pure Championship and the Pure rules with the rope breaks and Wheeler's character development. But as far as an athletic storytelling ability, Aussie Open stole the show. And I'm very, very excited for Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher being full-time additions to this ROH roster. But let's get to honorable mentions and talk about the match I recommended last week and also a new match I'm going to recommend this week. All right, so before I give you the new match that I want you to watch, give me your thoughts on the match from Manhattan Mayhem that I recommended last week.
So you recommended Danielson and Takeshi Morishima from 2007. Man, this was an incredible match. Thank you for recommending this to me. I had not seen this match before. The crowd was absolutely insane. It was a split crowd. You had Dragon chants. You had Morishima chants. This match told a great story. I love the pace of it. The first 4 minutes, there's been nothing but a couple of leg kicks between the guys, they're really taking their time, working their way into it. And at first 4 minutes, Morishima didn't really get any offense in at all. And then he pounds Danielson down into the corner, man. And Danielson sells his ass off. About 9 minutes in, he hits Danielson with a big boot, and Danielson's down on the apron, and he doesn't look like he's got a damn thing left. So, and then he finally gets Morishima up over the barricade and then goes up to the top rope and does that crossbody spot. Was absolutely fucking wild into the second. I think it was the second, maybe even the third row into the crowd. So, man, yeah, love this match. Absolutely. A couple other spots I loved was the missile drop kick that Morishima just totally no sells, but then Danielson just kips up right back up, man. That was really cool, David versus Goliath, visual storytelling right there. But I thought this was another match, man, where I was like, shit, this could go absolutely either way. And it was interesting watching it back at this point in time. And, because I'm not exactly sure what was going on storyline wise at the time. But Morishima picks up the win. That backdrop driver is a fucking brutal finisher. And he had tried to hit it more than once earlier in the night and couldn't get his hands on it. When he locked it in, that was all she wrote for Danielson. But yeah, killer match, man. 5 stars for sure.
Awesome. So the match I'm going to recommend this week is Kenta Kobashi versus Samoa Joe. This is from 10/1/2005. So just to give you a background on this, All Japan Pro Wrestling Noah legend, Kenta Kobashi going against, at this point, ROH sensation, young Samoa Joe, stiff striking, 2 of the best in the world. This was in front of about 800 ROH rabid fans, and that would be an understatement. They go out there and they're so loud, they're so passionate, and it's a dream match that very rarely you say this, but exceeded expectations. A lot of times with dream matches, like, oh, that could have been better. That could have been this. It went over the top when you match Kabashi and Samoa Joe, tear it up. And this is like what built the legend of Samoa Joe, matches like this. He did this, every weekend for 10, 15 years. This is one of the best matches that Joe's ever been in. And at this point, I can't believe to say it. It's like, it's 18 years old, which is unbelievable, but it holds the test of time.
Dude, very excited to see this one. This is one of my, I love doing this show with you, but this is one of my favorite parts, is getting to get the gems from you and go explore them on my own. So yeah, really looking forward to watching.
It's been fun to find them for you too. So that's been awesome to do.
Hell yeah.
But let's get into our final handshakes and prep for next bid adieu as we head into pretty much the weekend here at the tavern. All right, as we say goodbye here on the Honor Society, we will be back next week, March 16th, 2023, Thursday night, 10 p.m., maybe 10:05 p.m., depending on when we get on here with you. I'll talk about all the latest news in ROH and tying in some Ring of Honor history to fill the gaps. Make sure you tune in so you guys can always go to the turnbuckletavern.com to get all your needs here. You can follow us on all these platforms. We are doing big things here in the tavern as we approach WrestleMania weekend. Colton, as we say goodbye, hype up what's going on in the debate. Anything else going on at mullet.mania on Instagram?
Oh man, mullet.mania on Instagram right now. I don't have a whole lot going on other than just plugging the tavern and plugging Honor Society, man. They're just having a ton of fun being in the tavern and doing things full time with you guys. So yeah, debate show this week. We had Derek Stow, I believe this is his last name. I hope I just got that right. He's a promoter for Pro Wrestling Conquest, promoter and owner in West Virginia. They're in Charleston, in the hometown of the Two Bad Chads. We had a really fun time talking this week, man. This guy's a killer dude. They've got a really cool pay-per-view coming up March 17th, a cool event in Charleston, March 17th. If you're in that tri-state area, check this show out. The show is called Sorry About the Wait. It's going to be a good one. It's their first show back in a year. They've got a pretty stacked card.
You guys make sure to check out Shot Nostalgia tomorrow. We have 3 episodes of Raw. We're talking about 1998. It really gets off in a good way. We got X-Pac debut, and we got Dude Love coming back, challenging Stone Cold Steve Austin for the championship at Unforgiven. And we also have another visit to the tavern. Zach Ramsey's the Miasma will be visiting the tavern right after. So you get a double dose of Ace on a Friday night. We've been watching Colton. This has been a blast, dude. We will definitely get you guys next week with more ROH action. But as always, abide by the code of honor. We'll see you next week.